wonderful valedictory address from Professor Katherine Marshall. May I now invite Professor W. Cole Durham Jr. to present to us a brief summary of the discussions we had over last 3 days or so.
Well, I would like to, you notice that many of the speeches started by expressing thanks. And so I would like to, that's one of the things I need to summarize, of course. But more seriously, we're extremely grateful to be here and for the remarkable work that Faizan Mustafa and his team, K.A. Chidambaram, others that I can't name. I know we've spent, because we live on opposite sides of the world, literally, we've spent a lot of very late hours collaborating. I mean, it would be late for one of us and early for the other. But it's been just a remarkable experience working on this. And as an expression of thanks, I have 2 items that I want to give to you. Let me just explain. One is a book that I'm indebted to work with Javier Martinez Terron. This is a study of about 45 countries, church-state systems, but we hope this will be of interest to you, and then another small gift. But thank you very much. Let me also just say by way of advertisement, and one of the things I believe in connection with these conferences is that these are not single events, but they are opportunities to get to know other people and to continue working with other people. One of the things that will also be happening about a week from now, we had Professor Tahir Mahmood with us for part of the conference. He had to go back this afternoon, but he is at work, and next Saturday we will see the formation of the South Asian Consortium of Religion and Law Studies, acronym SACROS, and I just mention that because the hope is that this conference and other events that we've had will start contributing to a stream of thought, very interdisciplinary, such as what we have experienced here, that draws people working in this area together to talk, to reason together, to disagree, to have intense exchanges, such as some of those that we've had here, but to really be able to learn from each other. This is an extraordinarily rich and interdisciplinary field, and to be able to join with many of you here in this kind of thing and to have learned from you over the past few days has been a remarkable experience. As I think back over these days and think of sort of basic impressions, I would say one impression is, and this may be a reflection of coming from a different part of the world, but I was struck by the greater consciousness of oppression, poverty, risks of exploitation, violence, problems, structural problems. Not that we in Europe or the United States are not aware of such kind of things, but it was clear that you are experiencing these with a greater kind of urgency that affects the way issues are seen, and I think it's very important for those of us from elsewhere to be able to experience that firsthand and to be able to learn from you. I think we've seen a number of very lively moments, and I think that this is an area that it's good to see enlivening. Now, I think one of the things that there is a recurring note, and that is the suspicion of religion. There is a kind of enlightenment, a secular enlightenment view of religion, that religion is the source of a lot of evils, and there's no doubt that that is true, but it's clearly not the only source, and as one looks at things historically, it's often not religion itself so much, but the fact that religious believers are in one way or another driven into a corner, discriminated against, made to feel like second-class citizens and so forth, and that creates reactions. Sometimes those reactions are seen as the sort of the first cause, but I think one of the interesting things that's been worked on by the recent empirical studies of people like Brian Grimm and others is that there's really a better case for saying that the violence or the problems are a result of excessive government restrictions, excessive social hostilities, and that we need to learn to deal with those things. We've also had some talk about the resurgence of religion in the public realm. This is something that Jose Casanova pointed out early on. It's probably a decade ago now. But this resurgence of religion in the public sphere is not merely a reflection of sort of the collapse of communism, the failure of secular socialism. It is in part a reawakening to the fact that secular solutions are not the only solutions. And this may line up with what Katherine Marshall was just saying about the need to not be too quick in assuming that there is just an easy distinction between the secular and the religious. I think there's a growing sense that these are different worldviews, that different lifestyles, life stances that are lived out in different ways, and that the real need is to find inclusive pluralism, as referred to by Professor Bachmeier, inclusive pluralism that spans the divide between the religious and secular. There is a long history of looking at secularism as a solution to problems of religious difference, but one needs to be careful not to overlook the fact that secular ideologies can be just as guilty of intolerance, just as guilty of being sources of difference and tension, and that what we need to find are ways to work together. And more than that, if we find ways to work together, we may discover synergies that we have not seen before. Now, on the one hand, it's important that we be able to learn, because we live at a time when there has been a lot of criticism of things, of the kinds of things that religion and religious believers have done that is wrong. We need to learn and sort of be able to correct that. But the world is more complicated, and it's also, we need to get past sort of oversimplified stereotypes so that we can find ways that things can really work together. If you think about it in a certain sense, we usually don't think about it this way, but the right to freedom of religion or belief is a very significant social filtering mechanism that has been adopted, certainly given lip service, and typically much more than lip service in most of the countries on earth. And what it does is it's designed to recognize those aspects of religion that are good, beneficial, advance the common good, and some of the problematic things that need to be addressed. That's what limitation clauses are about, is sorting those two kinds of things out. But one of the things one of the aims of this conference has been to take the SDGs as an overarching theme and to look at the way religion can possibly be beneficial, but also possibly problematic in different spheres. So we have talked about, we started out talking about business and religion. Religion can be good for business. Business can also, the commercial sector can play an important role in stabilizing and exemplifying good practices. We talked about the environment and saw a range of religious views about how religion thinks about and care, and different religious traditions think about and care about the environment. We had some very lively discussions about gender issues. I was never aware before of the 7 stages of talaq, but I think that was very interesting. I'm sure there are some other people who would use that more expeditiously, unfortunately. But I think this was an example of some of the sort of key issues that are obviously very hot issues, very sensitive issues that need to be thought through and made progress on. These have been lingering issues. The Uniform Commercial Code issue obviously goes back to the time of the Indian Constitution. But these are issues that every country on earth is facing, and I thought we had some very interesting discussions on that front. We had the opportunity to think about the context of the workplace, of how difference in religion can be accommodated there, how there are problems. We talked about religion and justice, religion and peace, and one of the increasingly urgent themes, religion and security, how we can achieve both protection of human rights and protection of human security. I think the theme running through all of these issues is that we live at a time when we need to get past some of our stereotypes that are themselves. I'm always a little struck by the fact that sometimes people coming from a secular mindset will talk about the importance of discrimination, avoiding discrimination, but discriminating against religious groups or religion in general seems to be less of a problem. And there's a kind of paradox and irony there. We need to find ways that we can truly live together, that we can have truly inclusive pluralism. I think in general, one of the things that for me, this has been helpful in seeing more clearly some of the problems, but also some of the possible opportunities that lie ahead. I think in the end, one of the things that's really critical is that we learn how to take advantage of some of what we've learned about human rights norms such as freedom of religion or belief, because one of the things it helps to do is reduce the fear that different groups feel. One of the problems is we live in a world where there are threatened minorities and they feel fear, but we also have threatened majorities. They fear that their dominant position is at risk. It's not only true that globally we are all minorities, but whether we're minorities or majorities in our local settings, we feel threatened. And one of the challenges is how we reduce that threat level. One of the ways we can do that is through respecting the rights of others, helping others to feel assured of their safety in society, that they will be respected, and so forth. And beyond that, when we start achieving that, we can find ways of synergistic religious engagement that will without unduly privileging one group or another, but can nonetheless draw on the strengths, the positive contributions that different religious communities have made over time and have demonstrated that they can make. We live in a world where religion will not go away, religious difference will not go away. We can either learn to live together with respect and trust in each other, or we will be forced to endure continual conflict and possibly devastation.